responsible. No worries. I'm responsible for the sportive concept behind Hyrox. And my role is I'm the global race director, and I'm responsible for all things that sports related. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Jacob.
Go ahead and add Jacob.
I'm sorry. Not Jacob. Go ahead, Christian. Jesus. Go ahead, Christian.
Okay.
Me, yeah. Okay, me. I'm the CEO and founder of Hyrox. I came up with this idea quite a long time ago and met Mintra, and then we started to develop the basic narrative of everything we are doing now. And and I'm running the full organization apparently.
Christian, what were you doing prior to launching this event, prior to launching this company?
Okay, now do you have time? That's a long story.
What were you doing the immediate 18 months prior, not your whole life?
No, but it's interesting. It's very quick. So I'm doing sport events. I'm creating sport events for basically 25 years. I started creating a brand new cycling concept back in the day in 1995 in Germany. I called it Cyclassics, or the marathon on wheels. So what I did is I put on a professional bike race, but with an amateur part, like in marathon running. At that time, no one has ever done this. It got very popular. It's still on with 24,000 riders on the day. So it has actually even the dimensions of a city marathon. Based on that success, I could develop the company into other parts like triathlon, marathon running, also other media rights in sport. And then I sold my company to Lagardère Sports, which you might have heard of, maybe not.
What's it called? What was it called?
Lagardère Sports. It's actually a French media giant, 4.5 billion euros. They invested a lot of money into sport. They acquired a lot of companies.
I feel like they're connected to, why have I heard of them? Are they connected to Ironman?
Yeah, and then I was there, the global CEO for all events they acquired for basically 8 to 9 years. We started a lot of mass participation events across the globe, also in America. I created the ITU World Triathlon Series. If maybe you have heard that, the Olympic version of short course triathlon, it's a global series, televised live, and a lot of other stuff. And then I sold that business on behalf of Lagardère to Ironman Corporation back in 2016. I joined the board of Ironman for roughly a year to help Andrew Messick and the other board members to develop a new business strategy for Ironman, which was the start of being a 360-degree operator of all sorts of mass participation events. But then I said I was always more an entrepreneur than a corporate guy. So I said, I feel I have some ideas left in me. I left Ironman with really only good feelings, and then I took a little time off, and then I started to create Hyrox, the idea of Hyrox more and more. And then I met Mintra, and that was the beginning of everything, which was back in 2017.
Wow. So you've done a lot. All the cycling and triathlon business going on, was it you saw the CrossFit movement and thought there's more to be done in the indoor space? Was that sort of the thought that I'm just going to take a guess that you thought like CrossFit is great, but the Olympic lifting is too complicated for normal people?
Absolutely. So look, I do fitness by myself, and it's not the weightlifting itself. I love to do CrossFit too. It's a great brand. I love to watch the games, but I'm in the gym as well, working out. And I thought, why is there no event existing where I actually do what I do every day in the gym? So where the whole competition is based around that, but it's a mass participation event. So it's not like CrossFit, which is very extreme. So if you ever want to go to, let's say, to go to the major events, you need to be one of these 50 extremely high-level professional trained athletes. I said, I want to find a very different approach. I'm coming from the mass participation part. And what I always loved about marathon running or Ironman or triathlon is you have the best athletes in the world doing it. And then you have thousands of age groupers doing it behind these guys, but on the same day, on the same course. And I was wondering why this is not existing in fitness, when no one ever tackled it. And that was the basic idea. And of course, we go indoors because usually you train fitness in a gym, which is indoors. And we wanted to go anti-cyclical to all the other mass participation events. So basically, we do it in the winter time, which is of course not for your southern states, not so relevant. But if you are now in New York or Chicago, it makes a lot of sense to go indoors. And yeah, that's the whole idea behind Hyrox.
So how did you meet Mintra? Or why don't you tell us what you were doing in the 18 months leading to meeting Christian?
In the 18 months, well, we've been friends for a long time, so I've known it for a while. But what I think when he reached out to for that concept, I was preparing U.S. soldiers, Army soldiers for different types of competitions, selections, and other events. That's what I was doing, and that's when I still lived in South Germany, and then I moved back to Hamburg where Christian lives, and that's when Hyrox started. Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm German. Well, my hometown is Hamburg, but I was married to an American, and we were stationed in southern Germany in Grafenberg. And that was just a huge training base, and lots of troops coming through. That was like, back when the Afghanistan war was still at its peak. They would come to that garrison, and then they would deploy. So there were lots of troops running in and out of that base. So yeah.
How many languages do you speak?
3. Just 3. My mom's from Thailand, so I do speak Thai, and then English and German. Yeah.
Well, it helps if you're launching a global sport. So how many events did you do over there before you came here a few months ago?
I think we did 9. We did 9 the past season. Plus we did, I think Christian helped me out on this one, 2 in Germany before we launched in Miami, right?
No, Miami was the first event of season 2. But we have now completed 5 events in Germany and 2 in the US. And we did 9 events the year before in Germany and Austria, which was the launch year actually of Hyrox. So it's pretty fresh, it's pretty new. Which of course, this is the reason why we have this podcast and you're asking us all these questions, because it's not around for a long time, apparently.
What was the logic behind the naming of the company?
Yeah, there's no real logic, to be honest. Well, we wanted to find a cool name that is which we can protect globally as a word mark, which is not that easy, especially globally. When you look at all the other markets and do the assessments, very complicated. Especially everything with fit or whatever is actually falling out. No way that you can register this as a word mark, which is the highest form of protection. So we said, okay, we want to find something unique, which is creating something new, like Ironman did when they had this amazing idea of doing 3 crazy events in a row. And not calling it triathlon or a very obvious name. So they created something that was very new, unique, very from outside. The idea behind this is a little bit hybrid, because we think we are a hybrid event of fitness and running. And we thought rock stars, rock zone, that's a pretty cool word. And we were writing this with X, and I don't know what, with a lot of beers at one night, we came up with Hyrox.
And how long did you land on the stations right away? Did it take you a while to land on it's 8 now, right?
Right. It's always been 8.
So,
Yeah,
but was it always 1,000-meter row, 75 wall balls, or did you figure out a while
no.
before you landed on those?
Yeah, we actually played around a little bit. The first draft was in, goes a little back. The first draft was in, I'd say summer 2012. That was the first draft. And then we played around with it a little bit. Obviously we went through lots and lots of tests ourselves and put our friends and families through it. And then we came up with the 8 movements that you know now. But we've had different movements in there before, yes.
So the current stations, are those never going to change every few years?
We believe in the concept to we want to make.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Christian, go ahead.
You can answer this because everyone is asking me that question all the time. I don't know. To be very honest, I can't tell you now. I very believe in the beauty of having a uniform competition concept, which is not changing. So you can compare your time over years, and you see how you get better, how you get slower.
I think it's a very German concept, precision and consistency, right? That's what you guys are the best at, right?
Well, I mean,
Supposedly.
Ironman is a very American concept, and they are not changing a bit of it. They're not changing the order of competitions. They're not changing the distances.
Well,
for very good reasons.
Right.
And marathon is exactly the same. The beauty of marathon running is that everyone knows a little bit how long it is. Everyone knows a little bit. If you run 4 hours, it's okay. If you run 3 hours, oh, that's reasonably fast. It's common. Everyone is aware of that. You know exactly what you have to train for. I like that very much, which doesn't mean, and we think we have a very balanced mix now of 8 workouts, and we spend a lot of time thinking about the right workouts. It's not only the order and what are you training with your body for it. It's also how can we judge it? Is it logistically handleable? So there are a lot of aspects we have to consider when you do an event with 3,000-4,000 people on the same day. That's very different to CrossFit because you have these masses of people. You have to be very careful with how you select the workouts so that this logistically really works. And so we are very happy with the order of the workouts, with everything we have so far. But never say never. No, so maybe in the future we are changing one of the workouts, but it's not planned yet.
And again, I wasn't making a judgment either way. I was just curious from a business and from a sport, what's it going to be? There is an awful lot of running compared to other fitness workouts, right? Certainly CrossFitters aren't used to running this much. Have you thought of doing a version with 4K of running or 3K of running, or this is the one product and this is it and this is what we're gonna do? Like marathons do, like there's half marathons, right? So have you ever thought of offering a different product either on the same day or launching different products?
Not yet. We believe
no.
we have a marathon of fitness or the Ironman of fitness. It will always be the same, but we have different divisions, as you know, and we have doubles. Which makes it very dramatically easier to complete one Hyrox event. So everyone can get into it, I think. But I very much believe in the brand values that it's everyone knows this is a big achievement. It's a real challenge when you do this. So everyone can be very proud of completing this. And there's no halfway doing it. I remember when I was at Ironman, there was always a long discussion about half Ironmans. And of course, these people also tell other people I'm an Ironman, which the full distance Ironman people don't really like. So we like to keep it together for the moment. And like half marathons is great, but the real deal is still a marathon event. I mean, the New York City Marathon is 1 trillion times bigger than every other half marathon in prestige and awareness. So we want to be a little bit, like I said, the marathon of fitness, and we like our positioning in the moment.
In terms of growth, is this the type of thing that you see you're launching, America has, let's say, how many events do we have next year in America? Let me start with that question.
We will have, that's very interesting. I think we will go something between 15 to 16 events. Next year, we will substantially grow the series. It will be basically across the nation. And we go in a circle, more or less, around the country. And so, yeah, it's a substantial growth. And the same in Europe, and probably also tapping into other regions.
Well, that was my other question, is that you already are a European company, so now you're launching in America. Is this something you can launch globally? You can plug and play, so for example, Spartan and Tough Mudder and those guys, when they want to launch in different regions, it's a very different experience, so for example, in America, there's this like hardcore military sort of thing. And, you don't necessarily want to do that in Iraq, right? So, or like just a lot of sort of basic American things. This seems very uniform. Is your short or long-term plan to take over the world? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, we really believe this has a potential to be a global movement, that we will see events in all relevant parts of the world, which for sure is Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, some countries in South America, as well as Asia. You might have heard that we recently announced that actually Infront/Ironman have invested in our company. They have acquired a stake of our shares, and now we have one of the largest mass participation organizer and the second biggest sports network in the world on our side. We have a lot of already footprints of Ironman across the world, and we will definitely use this as well, their experience, to launch the other regions. So we are quite ambitious, but the logistics of the concept are so relatively easy to roll out. Once you know how to do this, and once you invest into the equipment and everything, that we believe we can go quicker into other markets than, for instance, like we did it with Ironman events, because it's quite complicated to pull this off in new markets with the road closures and everything that is related to it.
I want to ask you, Mintra, about that first American event. The hiccups that had gotten brought up. First of all, I heard it was, certainly you guys are well organized and it was a great event. However, all these guys and gals showed up with they were dreaming of the big $5,000 check. The word was that if someone beat the current world record, they could get an extra 5,000. And then all the times were slower, and they said that the course was a little bit longer. Some people said it was a conspiracy. I believed it probably wasn't. It was just, they didn't have everything dialed in yet. What do you have to say to that?
Well, first of all, if we want to stay with marathons, if you look at marathons across the globe, they're always same distance, obviously, but they have different conditions, road conditions, twists and turns. And this kind of goes for us. We're always the same. We have always the same distances, but then we have different venues, and due to venue shapes, there might be small differences, but in the end, essentially, it's all the same. And as far as Miami, it was our kickoff event, and compared to last season, so we kind of switched we flipped around a couple of things, and the main thing I think you're aiming at here is our sleds, right? So we're
not at the sleds yet. Sleds was part two. First part was that
right.
They
but
ran.
Yeah,
there was more than 8K of running. The running was too much, or it was set up such that they would be slower.
No, it's not like that. So the way the rock zone is set up is so you have an outdoor. It's like a rock zone where all the workouts are, and then outside of that rock zone you run your 1K. And when you start, it's like a staggered start. So your first K is technically not exactly 1K, and then towards the end you run a little longer because it's the wall balls, and then you'll match up for that loss. of meters. So it was exactly 8Ks. And then, but what you're saying is, I'm guessing the inside of the rock zone, the ways it is, that's different. But our world record holder, both of them were in Miami, and they were doing just fine. Obviously, it didn't do a world record, but this was just due to the venue and probably the sleds as well, even though they did well on the sleds, both of them. And yeah, that's just the nature of the thing, of the competition. It'll always be a little different.
The times were faster in New York.
Yeah, but if you look at New York, it was actually, it was like an L shape, and it actually would look much bigger because since it was an L shape, the running course was 500 meters, so you had to run 2 laps. Versus in Miami, you run 2.5 laps, right, to get to 1,000 meters. So that in itself says that the venue is smaller in Miami. And then due to the L shape, you would have, to get to station 1, 2, and 4, you had to like make a left turn, and then all the other stations on the right. So it's kind of like a give and take, really.
Right. So over the course of 10 or 12 events, it'll make more sense. We have a very small, sample size so far. So that makes sense. Now let's talk about the sleds.
Well, yeah. So what happened was last year, like the whole first season, we had kind of like a unique, I want to say it's like a more of a carpet, not a turf. And this was we kind of always prided ourselves in like super hard sleds, but then we changed it because we wanted to make it equal for the States and Germany. So we wanted to have the same type of, well, it's not turf but carpet, so we make it so it's comparable. And then what happened was in Miami is lots of athletes kind of like had a hard time with the sled because their shoes were slipping, I don't know, and everyone had a different story, but like I'd say 80% did push through and did push the sled through. And the same goes for New York. So what happens is we'll roll out those carpets, and then at the end of the day we roll them back in, and then we put them on a and it's always the same sled. So yeah, if you look at the times, they're the same. So this season everybody does the same carpet.
Got it.
And the same sled. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to add just 2 things, Matt. So first of all, this is the highest priority for us, that we get so perfect that all the distances, especially the run distances and everything, is exactly the same wherever you are. They might be, sometimes you run a little shorter in the first lap and longer in the last lap, but in the end it will always be exactly 8 kilometers. So we are measuring this with a measuring wheel before every event, every little workout. But there will be events because of the shape that the rock zone time might be a little bit longer or shorter. And that's something we cannot change. And the funny thing is, we had long discussions about the sleds, and we figured out probably there was an explanation in Miami because of the humidity in the air, which is very extreme in Miami. It was 35 degrees outside, right?
Right.
That is the only explanation we have so far, because we are using exactly the same carpet everywhere in the world. It's exactly the same carpet. And in New York, it wasn't any issue at all with the slippery for the shoes. So this is the only explanation we have so far, that because of the weather, it was a bit slippery. However, we will continue to keep this world record prime up. So I guess our top guys, Ryan, Hunter, also from a women's side, they will find their opportunity to win this paycheck.
Will that be standing? So if it's broken and then broken again the next week, another 5,000, or are we going to reassess after this first time it's broken?
I have to see. I mean, we have to, if they break every event, every event they're breaking this record, will be quite an expensive exercise for us. However, we are talking to partners about it. It's a nice storytelling. I want to establish something that is more ongoing, but it's not 100% clear yet how we do this. And of course, it's the nature of the thing that it will be harder and harder to beat the world record. That's also, so that's why it's probably an interesting thing to keep it alive, and we go on with this. But let's see, Chicago, my gut feeling is telling me we will see a new world record. at least on the men's side in Chicago.
What's the marketing plan? Do you think this is for the Spartan audience, the CrossFit audience? Like, where do you see the most of the attendees coming from? First of all, how many people can you put through in a day?
Yeah, for roughly 4,000 people.
Okay,
and taking into account that you have always a no-show quote.
No, of course. And so what has it been like in Europe? What has it been like in Europe attendance-wise, and what have you had in America so far?
Yeah, Europe is, of course, second year, more established. It's amazing what's going on here. We had Hamburg with 3,000 people, which was, at that time we stopped registration because we want to learn, right? It's a different ball game if you suddenly have 3,000 people instead of 1,500. But we have done it, and we know now we can actually even adding some more people to a full day. Because the system is you start in waves, and then the day is just longer,
right?
Depending on the total size of people. So in Miami, it was a reasonable start with almost 500 people, and in New York we hit 1,000 registrations, which was great. But in Germany now, all events that are coming up for the rest of the season, they all will be between 1,500 to 2,000 people. But of course, we have to see now with Chicago. I think Chicago will be somewhere between New York and Miami probably. And LA, it's a massive market. We have more time to propose it. We will see how many people will come out to LA. But that's the goal. So when in the end, actually for year one, it doesn't really matter how many people are coming out. They have to see the event. That's the best marketing program we have. So people do the event, they see it, and then they talk about it.
And what was the, I forgot the other question. I'll just go ahead and say, I said, where do you think the audience will come from?
We know it. Of course, we always do participant surveys afterwards. It's definitely a hybrid event because we get people coming for sure from OCR racing. We have a good portion of CrossFit athletes, general fitness enthusiasts, but also quite a lot of Ironman triathletes, runner type of people. This is the interesting part here that we are mixing this. So it's pretty balanced actually. Which is the interesting part of the concept. We are combining people from different competitions actually, and testing a little bit who's a fitter person, who's a fitter athlete.
When you do social media advertising though, who are you targeting?
Yeah, OCR, CrossFit, and Ironman triathletes.
Ironman people, I feel like they would want to try this. They seem to like that's a whole different audience, right? Unless they're bored with it, right? If you want to bike hundreds of miles, do you want to get in the gym? It's usually very different people. I'm not saying they won't, but it just seems like.
Yeah, I agree. But we've seen actually quite a good number. So as you know, Ironman is our partner. We are definitely will reach out to their database. What I think can make a lot of sense for these guys is that in winter time, when you're preparing yourself for the outdoor triathlon season, a little bit of core fitness can be very helpful and it's something different. Instead of just putting volume in your training, running, cycling, and swimming, to do something different can be an interesting part for your training. And we're talking to the coaches about it. It's a quite interesting element. Not the pro weights, that's too heavy for them, but the regular men and regular women weights.
Right. Christian, what do you think you've learned from your previous experience that you can directly apply to growing this company?
Oh, I learned endless. I mean, everything we do here is very much based on experience. But all the mistakes I have done in 25 years, and I try.
Okay, what are three good ones? Give us three good lessons or mistakes that you can apply here.
Yeah, I do indoor events.
Okay, that's one.
outdoor events for 25 years, the permissions to get the road closures, weather factors, all that kind of stuff. I love it. I don't have to worry about the weather. It's amazing. You just go to the event and you know exactly what the conditions are.
That's nice.
The logistics, we are like a rock concert tour. Everything else is on trucks. Because we are indoors, nothing is getting wet. Nothing is it's getting really destroyed. Nothing has, the wind factor is out, right? So we always put our stuff back into the trucks and we go to the next event. That's very smart. That's why we can be so fast in rolling it out. It's impossible with outdoor event.
Okay, that's a good one.
Which is new and which is really brand developments we do now with Hyrox is learned at Ironman and other products that we have developed and we have established across the globe. So these are the three. I can tell you more factors, but these are probably the three main ones.
So obviously we have to talk about Spartans' new product. There was rumors out there that maybe you guys were going to work together at some point. And I don't know exactly if that was the case or not. And then you obviously announced the Ironman partnership, which obviously makes more sense anyway, learning that's your background anyway. But do you want to speak to that at all?
Sure. No bad feelings. I had intentions discussions with Joe about the cooperation. He came out to Hamburg. He did the event. I explained to him everything. We explained to him all details and how we do it. Of course, when you talk about the cooperation, they want to understand what we do and how we do it. And it was very close. It's a very interesting company. I really enjoy talking to Joe about the world of sport and fitness and all the programs. So, yeah, it was always very friendly environment, friendly, good discussions. In the end, we had several reasons to go with Ironman, which was not a decision against Spartan. It was really a decision for Ironman and Infront. It's also the financial background, etc. And their global footprint. We think it was an easier fit. No, but that's it. So. I'm still in good contact with Joe, and next time when I'm in New York, we probably want to meet. So we will see what the future will bring.
I think competition's always good, and when you're introducing something new, you're probably going to give each other customers, no?
Yeah.
If I love Hyrox and Hyrox is only coming to my town once a year, I'm probably going to check out DecaFit. Right? Or vice versa, correct?
Probably.
Correct. Absolutely. We said in our statement that it's clear, it was anyway clear that some people will try to copy it and do something similar. That was crystal clear, which is actually just growing the market, I think. It will help to promote this new version of events that people, if you love fitness, now you can do these fitness events, these indoor fitness competitions of larger scale. People need to understand that. What is this? How can I do this? Can I complete this? How difficult is it? Yeah, so that's not a big deal. We have, of course, quite a lot of distance ahead of these guys. You learned today how much time we spent and how much time we spent to develop the whole concept. We did a test event in 2017 to see if this really works. We have now completed 16 events of Hyrox. So on with every event, and that's very important. And so I hope that they are not rushing into it too fast, to be honest, because this is important that we all deliver the quality to the participants from everything. The participant experience is the most important part. That's the number one priority for everything we do here every day. And apparently we are 100% focused on Hyrox. We do nothing else. This is the only product we think about 24/7. And I think that's what the people can see when they come to this event.
What, Mintra, what, oh man, I apologize.
No worries.
I need my coffee refill. Oh my goodness.
Maybe what events did we have prior to the contest?
No. We answered all that. What genre would you call this? Because there isn't one yet, or do you think it's yet to be named? It's not obscure racing. It's not CrossFit. What do we call this genre of fitness?
Well, it's a hybrid event. It's all under the umbrella functional training, functional fitness, hybrid events, I would call it. I mean, it's got running. We base these on the natural movements of humans, which we inherit by birth. I mean, if you look at children, I mean, they can hang around in a deep squat like 3 hours and play with cars and toys, and it won't hurt them, right? And so we inherit these movements by birth. And if you don't want to call it a hybrid competition, you can call it natural movement competitions, or I just say it's a functional fitness event, really.
Okay.
I would be more simple. I would say it's a fitness competition. It's an indoor fitness competition.
Okay.
Which
well,
is different.
People like to put things in genre, and it makes it easy for them. So
yeah,
maybe it's something we don't even know yet. Okay. But speaking of efficiency, I thought of another efficiency that could be worked on, and that is the timing.
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited. How did Miami go? And I'm looking at it, and it's showing me like 3 people for the same, like one name populated like 3 times. And so there was an issue there. Also, if I look now on the men for New York, it says dr.schwartz, Cole, and then it says prof.dr. and then other people's names. So what do those mean? What do those mean?
Oh, that's like we work with Mika Timing, which they like a global timing company that does all the triathlons and marathons and stuff. And like this is, I want to say, because it's a German company, I want to say this like an old German thing back in the day. When you had
Professor Hair's stomach, like that.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. Like, you would like kind of like insist on your title to be shown, and they never took that out. So we thought the same thing after Miami. This needs to be out, because just some athletes would just goof around with it and be like, Professor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Right. That's me now. I'm Professor Hair Dr. Davis. That's my new name. Only refer to me as such. Okay, so that's being done on the athlete end. They're registering themselves as
exactly.
That.
Yes.
Oh, yes. you can't give the wacky Americans that idea. They'll go crazy with it. Okay.
Well, Germans do it too, exactly. But we just realized that it's kind of like we just need to take it out.
Oh, see, but that makes sense to me. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, and then what was with the weird dupes? Do we have that fixed out for next time?
Yeah, I mean, the Mika system is pretty much bulletproof, but if you have, it kind of is. I mean, I keep, telling people who tell me, well, but I ran 3 laps, but the system says you only, did it in 2 laps, and this is your time. But I get what you're saying. The thing is, when there's something new, and we have there's a mats are on the ground that measure your time, and then sometimes if too many people cross that mat, the system would lose loses the connection, but it'll pick it back up. And then obviously the guys from Mika, the IT guys, they're all nerdy, they go in and they check it, and they kind of so they make sure every time is correct. But if you have that big of people participating, there's always going to be glitches in the system. But we're working on that really hard, because that's what we say. We want to have it comparable, and we have someone in New York do it and have their times compare with someone in Berlin, and it'll still be the same competition.
Right. I just meant in terms of the outward thing for the public, so that if I'm looking, like it took a day or 2 for you guys to get that right, where it was showing. Like it showed Ryan Kent's name 3 times instead of Ryan, then Cole. That you see what I'm saying? Do you know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about?
Well, yeah, that's that. Like we like I said, we still need to work on a couple things, and like Christian mentioned, like we use every event to get better, and especially with those timing things, we're on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The one other question I had, you do the pro waves at the end so that you, I guess, have the audience of the people who ran it during the day. One or two of the athletes said they still like had people on the course, like the open waivers. Why not wait, either do them in the morning or clear the course completely, have some sort of time limit, and then the pros go, so they have a clear course, because there's only so many of them, and every second counts.
Yeah, that's a good point. We think about it all the time. In the moment, it's also because we are changing the weights. So we start with the lightest weights, and like the men divisions come in, etc. So we're putting more weights onto the sleds and everything. So it's like a natural order. But I agree with you. We have to think about it. But to make such a long break before we let the pro waves off, we're not established enough that like the huge crowds, the major amount of people will wait so long, I guess. So if we make such a long break, there's a risk that the hall is getting more empty because people are going home. That was the idea, to do it very quickly behind the last waves. But that is exactly what we are thinking about. And I anyway want to establish like an elite wave.
Right.
So pro wave is still open. Everyone can sign up for that. If you think you're strong enough, you can sign up for the pro wave. But then in every pro wave, sometimes we have 100, 150 people doing it. There are still then 20 guys or women that are so much more on a different level, right? They are really the top professional athletes. And that's something we do at the World Championships. So there it will definitely be totally divided, and the elite waves, when they go off, it will be almost a cleared course. And I want to probably from next season establish an elite wave at every event, and maybe we put this in the middle or something, so that it's like the highlight of the day when we do this, and then we continue with the other events, or we start it in the morning, as you said.
When you say World Championship, if the events don't change and the weights don't change, how do you distinguish which event is the season and which event is the world? You just pick one at the end of the year and say, well, if you want to be the world champion, go to this one?
Yeah, well, so we have a qualifying system, right? So it's like, to be honest, this is the Ironman concept. So every year you have Kona, which is at the same time the World Championship Ironman event. So you need to qualify to go there. Every event we have before this World Championship event is actually a qualifying event in every age group, not only for elite athletes to go to the World Championships. It's quite amazing how this works. We are expecting 1,200 athletes next year in Berlin, coming from all over the world. Also a good number, I guess, 200 from the US already coming over doing it. But that's not only for elite, it's like across all different age groups. And so in the end, this will be the event where all the best elite and age group athletes come together. But everyone also has to do the event with pro waves, with pro weights. And Berlin is the World Championship event, and every event after Berlin, before the next World Championships in April 2021, which will probably be Amsterdam, can qualify for this event. So it's almost a 12-month cycle.
Got it. When is the World Championship?
4th of April.
In April.
2020.
Got it. So if I haven't qualified, I can't participate.
Correct.
It's not an open event.
No. The World Championship event is a closed event. We have an offer in the morning for family and friends and Berlin people, where you can sign up for it, but then there will be a break, and then and then the World Championship event will start. And this is you have to qualify for that event.
Got it. Will you be signing pro athletes, or will you just look to have sponsors sponsor the athletes and grow it sort of that way?
Yeah, we will never sign athletes. If you start once, you have to continue to do it with everyone at every event. I think it's not a healthy system. We will rather offer a lot of benefits, prize money. So Berlin, the elite races will be televised live for the first time in our young history. So it should be a marketing opportunity for the athletes to be really good in Hyrox. Plus, hopefully, every year they can earn more prize money, so that there's enough money in the game that it makes sense for these guys to come out there.
So this April will be televised?
Yeah.
Do you know where yet?
Nope. We're talking to, so HBS is a sister company of Infront, or subsidiary of Infront. It's one of the largest sports production companies in the world. They will conduct the production, and we are talking to a lot of platforms in the moment, beginning with Red Bull, because they are our European partner. So Red Bull Media House can be an interesting, actually, platform to.
They're really good at it.
I know. If we can, I hope we can convince them. If they do something, they do it really, really good.
Right.
It will be very decent coverage. Trust me. It's clear for us. It's a showcase. We want to do a very high level production. It's definitely available by live stream for sure. So everyone in the world who wants to see it can see it. But we might do some broadcasting deals, which is not that easy in the moment. But we have to see which platform can make sense.
Is there anything else we haven't covered or that I haven't asked you before we end today?
No, I think so. Mintra?
No, I only can think of our next US event, which is January 25th in Chicago. That'll be great to see some of you guys there that are listening here or watching, or even you, Matt. I don't know. How far is Chicago from you?
Well, Georgia.
Chicago is probably a 2.5 hour flight.
Well, there you go.
That's not bad.
Fun fact, Atlanta is a 3-hour flight or less from 75% of the country.
Oh, wow.
So it's what makes Atlanta such a great hub for any events. We have the largest international airport in the world. Maybe Hyrox should come to Atlanta in 2020.
No, I was just thinking that.
I want to tell you just our thought, and I want to get your feedback on it. Our thoughts for the season next year. So in the moment, the planning is we restart in LA again. Okay. Then we go to Texas, or probably Austin or Houston. What would you think? It's better.
You mean how many people are there per capita?
No, yeah. What do you think is a better market? Where would you do the event?
I think
Austin or Houston.
Well, everyone in Houston is going to be upset, but I think Austin is more of a destination. So people might go and then they go to the fun, whatever afterwards. Yeah. Austin is more of a destination than Houston is in terms of that. Sorry, Houston audience. Austin's a very cool, hip city, like Seattle, Portland, that kind of thing. Asheville. Yeah. But can we speak? I mean, can you on the record say where else you're going?
Yeah, sure. So it's, like I said, Austin or Houston.
Okay.
It's still not 100% decided yet. Then New Orleans, Miami,
okay,
Nashville. We hope we go to Atlanta after Nashville, or Atlanta, Nashville, or Nashville, Atlanta. Then Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Toronto, Chicago. That's also the order of the events.
Okay.
Chicago, Cleveland, Denver, Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego, and Dallas.
Wow, you are hitting all the big ones, my friend. Nashville is.
No, that was the idea. We said okay.
May as well hit everything. Nashville's a small market, though. I'm curious. If you're going to hit Atlanta, it seems like you would skip Nashville because it's a much smaller market.
Yeah, that was the same thing. People were telling me it's also such a destination city, right? Nashville.
I would hit Houston and Austin before I would hit Nashville. Sorry, Nashville, but I think your numbers would be better. I mean, listen, you gotta try, you gotta poke around. I mean, you know, all the races do that. Races would be like, okay, we hit these 3 places. The next year, we're only going to hit one of them. I think Atlanta will be a much bigger draw than Nashville, and not just because I live here. What do you know? What month did you? This isn't on the website yet, right?
No. We will really. It's not 100% confirmed. We are talking to the venues, last things.
Right.
We will probably release everything in January and also open somehow registration.
What registration is open so far?
September. LA will be mid of September, and then we go from there. And the last event will be actually also late March.
Right, but what can people register for right now? How many events are live in America right now?
Live is Chicago, Dallas, and LA.
Got it.
January, February, and March. Now the upcoming month. And then we restart again with season 3 or the next season in September, mid-September in LA again.